Capital Berlin is known worldwide as the home of techno, but its club scene is struggling. One of the city's most well-known gay clubs has gone into bankruptcy, while two of the city's iconic techno establishments are also closing their doors. Deutsche Welle correspondent Sina joins us now from Berlin. Marie, g'day. Tell me it ain't so. Berlin's clubs have a huge reputation. Why are they such a sensation?
Well, Berlin's clubs are an integral part of the city's modern history, and since the 1990s, techno is the soundtrack of the city. It's a soundtrack that's being heard around the world. The reason for that is that Berlin, after the fall of the Berlin Wall in the 1990s, was a very poor city, and it was full of abandoned buildings. People left their apartments to go to the west of the country. There were closed factories that were just abandoned buildings, and some Berliners saw opportunities in this empty, unregulated space. So you had a big squatting movement and a big artist movement that developed, and that's where Berlin techno was born, and that's why it could flourish outside of any bounds of conventional music. For example, the most famous Berlin historic club, Tresor, was founded in the bank vault of an abandoned department store, and that's where a lot of techno pioneership happened. And eventually this drew in crowds from outside the countries. Techno tourists came to Berlin, and that became a big source of revenue for the city, and tourists actually helped catapult the city out of its big financial problems. So techno is really at the heart of the city's identity, but also at the heart of the city's economics. And last year, Germany added Berlin's techno scene to its list of intangible cultural heritage. So Berlin is a big deal. Techno and techno clubs are a big deal here in Berlin.
Marie, did you ever get to that bank vault club, Tresor? And is Berlin's is it really proud of that history? And what's changed since the techno heydays?
I have visited Tresor multiple times, actually, but in its new location, so it had to leave its very unregulated and also unsafe location in this bank vault, and now it's in a more established place, and it's actually become kind of a tourist hotspot, so Berliners actually usually avoid Tresor on weekends.
So what's your tip on the best place to go these days?
Oh, you'll have to come to Berlin and I'll tell you. But so what you can tell from what I'm saying already, what's changed is that clubbing has become a lot more touristy here in Berlin. But on top of that, half of all Berlin clubs are actually considering shutting their doors despite all these tourists coming. And there are a lot of reasons for this. One reason is the pandemic, financial problems because of the pandemic. Another reason is rising electricity costs. But one big reason is gentrification. And that's obviously a problem across cities, across the world. But in Berlin, it's really pronounced because you had all these abandoned buildings that started being bought up eventually by investors and by real estate sharks who saw that Berlin was really rising in popularity. And so that's why in 2017, Berlin had the highest rising real estate prices out of any city in the world. And it didn't stop at clubs. So clubs are closing here. There's even a German term for it called Clubsterben, so the death of clubs.
The Germans are always so good with coming up with those sayings. So what implications does this have for the city?
Well, big ones. These two clubs that are closing were very common places to go on the weekend, and so Berliners are very sad. We're very shocked about the closing, but on a larger scale, this is very tragic for Berlin because this is also a very big income stream for Berlin, people coming here to visit clubs. There were some initiatives already to prop up clubs. For example, the government has declared clubs as cultural establishments across the country that entitles them to certain tax breaks and financial support. But that alone isn't enough. So some clubs have tried to raise money on their own through GoFundMe pages, for example. Others are trying to operate on a sort of yearly membership basis to have more steady income. But really, this is a drop in the bucket, and the larger problem has not found a solution yet.
Okay, Sina, thanks so much for talking to us. Keep on clubbing, and let's hope that the Germans come up with another word to replace Klucksturm when there's a revival of the clubs eventually.